video is a really nice Pilates routine for if you're recovering from low back pain, if you're looking for some rehabilitation for that. So coming down onto the mat, through side line, good habit to get into, onto your back and into your rest position. So take a moment here, finding that good position. If you're not sure of that, just make sure you've had a little look at the first video, my introduction to Ho Physio Pilates first. Lengthen the back of your neck, open the fronts of your shoulders. Find your neutral spine position and just lighten your arms beside you on the mat. So your feet are hip width apart, comfortable distance from your bottom, and we're going to start with a hip twist one. So breath in to prepare. Breath out, slowly allow the knee to drop out to the side. In, breath it back. So we're alternating sides, allowing the knee to drop out, opening up the hip joint, and back in. So the goal here is to keep the pelvic bones pointing straight up at the ceiling. So the pelvis isn't tipping from side to side, and neither is that space behind the low back changing. So just keep going. Keep the arms light, keep the head, neck and shoulders all supported and relaxed. Try and remember that that breath is coming up in through the nose, out through the mouth. And when you do breathe in, you're looking to send the breath into the lower ribs, opening them up, out sideways. Last couple. Good. Okay, now we'll take it to a one leg stretch. So sliding the heel away and back in. So again, moving on the out breath, slide away, in breath back in. And this one we're really focusing on making sure the low back doesn't pull away from the mat as the hip joint opens up. So with these level 1 exercises, if you want to make them more challenging, then you can hover your arms alongside off the mat. Feel the extra workload in your centre when you do that. Try and make sure that that extra tension though is felt down in the low tummy, within the pelvic area. Or just keep the arms resting alongside you. So keep going for a couple more. Last two. And we're going to take it to our third exercise, out scissors. So just check in with your neutral spine position before you start. Have a breath to prepare, and then out breath, one leg up. So we're bringing it into this one leg tabletop position where the knee is over the hip, the lower leg's parallel to the mat, and then on the out, in breath, replacing the foot back down. Out breath up, other leg, in breath down. So you can imagine there's a wall built from your hip bones at the front there up, that your knee doesn't come beyond. And make sure it's your hip joint creating all this movement. Out breath up, in breath down. So you're not bending the knee to find the mat. And these exercises look very simple from the outsider. It's all about the precision of movement, it's about your control around the pelvis while you allow your big joints to move. So last couple. Good. And then we're going to take it to hip twist 2 for low low back mobility. So bring your ankles together, your knees together, your arms out to the side. Wriggle till you feel your shoulder blades again behind your upper back, keeping the shoulder tops away from your ears. Have a breath in. And then out breath the knees over to one side, looking towards the opposite hand. Breath in. Out breath back. Breath in the middle. And out breath the other way. So keep moving on the out breath. You take a breath in when you're still, when you're resting or when you're stretching. And you use the strength that the out breath gives you when you're moving. Try and keep the opposite shoulder back and down. And we'll make this the last one. Lovely. And for our last exercise on our backs, which is our shoulder bridge, we're going to take the head cushion out of the way so as not to strain the neck. Bring the feet a little bit closer to the bottom, but back to hip width. See if you can just feel the backs of your heels with your fingers. Lift and lower, make sure you're starting in neutral spine again. Have your breath in. And on your out breath, tip back into that low back space. So you're completely contacting with your low back before you start peeling up from the tailbone, then each vertebrae one by one, up and away from the mat, lifting the pelvis up until it's high and level. Have a breath in there at the top. Now out breath. So you dip down through your breastbone first. You start replacing the upper back vertebrae one by one through the mid back towards the low back, contacting the low back, then slightly tipping forward so you're back to neutral. Good. Out breath again. Again, we're staying still to breathe in, moving on the out breath. And really think about the engagement of your glutes as you're starting to get that lift up. So you can think about your sitting bones magneting towards each other to give you that squeeze and lift. If you do start feeling it more in your low back than in your glutes, in your buttock area, then just ease off. Don't come quite as high with it. We'll just do one more. Breathing in at the top. And then coming down. Lovely. Now we're going to take it onto our sides. So starting with our clam exercise, and for this class we're going to do a level 1 clam. So we'll leave the ankles down on the mat. We're going to align the shoulders, hips and heels and create that little space underneath the waist there. Keep long through both sides of the waist so you maintain the little space throughout the exercise. Out breath, lift the knee, open the hips, squeeze into the back of the hip, and then in breath lower. Out breath back up. In breath lower. Try and keep this top shoulder nice and open through its front, drawn back and down away from your ear. If you need that hand there to stop you rolling, you can put it there. Keep it really light though. Don't press into the mat. You want to try and get your control from your centre. Strength from your lower abdominals there, keeping you well on your side, keeping your pelvis in position while your hip moves. Keep going for a couple more if you can. Out breathing up, squeezing into the glutes. In breathing down. Last two. Good. So we're going to stay on our sides in this hip bent position, but change the head position for arm openings. So you want to just fold your towel thicker so you end up with a thicker head cushion. Or if you've got a thicker head cushion, you can bring it in now. Take your arms out in front of you, your shoulders away from your ears. Lengthen the back of the neck. Reposition that pelvis if you need to. Breath in. We're going to out-breath the arm open. So we're looking for rotation through the upper back. So we drop the back ribs towards the mat behind, the centre of the chest up towards the ceiling, and then take a breath in. Out breath back. Remembering to move on the out breath. Breathe in while you stretch. Don't overstretch the shoulder here. Remember, it's an upper back exercise. So from that point where your fingertips are pointing towards the ceiling here, your shoulder doesn't move anymore. The rest of the movement comes from twisting through your upper back, dropping that back shoulder towards the mat behind you. Breathing in. Knees stay down. And the top hip just keeps pointing straight up at the ceiling. Let's finish that side there. Now have a push up into sitting. Now you can sit however you're comfortable. If you're okay cross-legged, then that's great. You might want to sit on a small cushion, or you could sit on up on your knees if that's better for you. You just want to make sure that the pelvis is really level, and you can sit up out of it, creating those neutral, normal spine position. So you grow tall through the crown of the head. We're going to bring the arms across the body. Have a breath in, and then out breath as you twist the upper back around. So you keep the pelvic bones at the front shining forward like headlights. Breathe in, and out breath back. Out breath the other way. Keep the shoulder tops away from your ears. Don't let them creep up. Breathe in. And back. So as before, we're moving on the out breath. Breathing in while we're stretching. Moving back on the out breath. Going for just one more. Good. Now this is where we bring everything down to the other end of the mat. Ready to do work on our other hip. So having a lie down, ready for our second set of clam. Position yourself. And when you're ready, out breath the top knee up. Squeeze at the top, in breath down. So keep those heels together. You can press them slightly into each other at the top of the movement there, getting the last little bit of work from the glute. And control the movement down. So try not to drop your knee. Control it. You'll be working it on the way down as well as on the way up then. So you work the muscle as it shortens here on the way up. And by controlling it down, you're working it as it lengthens as well. Always maintaining that little space underneath your waist. Maintaining your position through the pelvis so that top hip keeps just shining straight up at the ceiling. Position through your shoulders, making sure the top one doesn't creep up. And length through the back of the neck. That gentle tuck on your chin. Finishing off with the last couple. Well done. So our last one on this side is the arm opening, so we're going to switch head supports again. Bringing the arms out in front. Just checking your position before you start. Out breath in the top arm. Breathe in to stretch. I'll let you enjoy a few of these without talking. Remember, you can put some music on if you'd like to in the background. See, I didn't last long, did I? There we go. Let's leave it there for that side. And we're going to bring it over onto our tummies for the last set of exercises. We're going to do swimming. And you want to bring your small head cushion back in for your forehead. So this time, the arms come overhead. Okay, so first of all, we're going to create a really nice position through the whole spine. Length between the tailbone and the crown of the head. So keep that chin gently tucked in. Keep that tailbone gently tucked. And also slide the shoulder tops away from the ears. So you might find you need to widen the arms a little bit to allow you to do that. You're going to maintain that length through the whole spine. We're going to start with the arms working, taking a breath in to prepare, and then out breath to lift one off the mat and lower it back down. So it's an out breath lift, other side, in breath down. And we're just alternating sides, trying to make sure the body doesn't roll from side to side. And neither do we lose that lovely length in the whole spine. If you want to actively engage any muscles, remember to come back to that pelvic floor. So the only conscious contraction is that of your pelvic floor, scooping up inside with your bladder control muscles. Everything else you're kicking quite automatically when you move through the big joints and keep your centre nice and still. Last couple before we change it. And we're going to bring it to legs. So the arms just stay in position there now. Shoulder tops away from the ears. Keep the length through the low back. When you out breath, one leg up off the mat. In breath down. Now don't worry how high your legs come. You'll notice that mine don't come very high. Without dipping into the low back. Without losing that length. If you can clear the front of your thigh off the mat, then that's lovely. You should really feel like you're using your glutes on that side to extend the hip. Brilliant. We're going to start bringing in the opposite arm. So if you lift through the leg, the opposite arm lifts at the same time. In breath down. Out breath up. In breath down. Still alternating sides with each out breath. And for our last few, let's hold them for a breath in. So you out breath up. Have a breath in there. In breath down. Out breath up. Breathe in while you hold it. Out breath down. And this gives you a chance to breathe in between sides. For our last couple, out breath up. Hold and breathe in. And then lower. Last one, well done. And lower. Great. Have a push back from there. can have a stretch, put your bottom to your heels, stretch your arms out in front, a shell stretch or a child's pose stretch. And our last exercise we're going to do in 4-point kneel or a crawl position. Let me sort out this strange top. Okay. So hands underneath the shoulders, knees underneath the hips. Draw your shoulder tops away from your ears and look down between your hands. Okay, we're going to tuck the toes under for this exercise. It's our leg pull in prone prep, or it's a plank prep exercise, preparing for a plank. So you're going to have a breath in, and then out breath the knees to hover up off the mat. Now they literally do just need to hover while you have a breath in, and then lower. Remember to engage your pelvic floor. It will really help focus the effort into your lowest tummy, and then lower. Breathe in while you're there. The knees don't come high. You just take the weight off them. Last two. Finishing up with this one. Hover for a breath in. And lower. Really well done. There's lots of progressions for those exercises, and you'll find them in some of the other videos. But if you are recovering from a back problem or a back injury and you want something gentle to get moving again, then this has been a really good video for you. Don't forget to do the stretches. They're attached to other videos. There's a set in lying and a set in sitting, so choose which one you would prefer to do today.